Okay, say when to start. I guess you're on.
Okay, we're rolling.
Okay, this is an interview at the Public Library Center, Moriches, New York, 10th of March, 2004. It is 1 p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
My name is Emil P. Mollik, Paul Mollik. I was born in Manhattan, Lenox Hill Hospital, 1943. That was August 23rd, 1943.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering service?
I had a great high school education in Riverhead High School. I took every course, science and math I could take because I wanted to go into service and be a pilot. I tried for Annapolis. I tried for the Air Force Academy. I almost got an appointment from a congressman in Riverhead, Otis G. Pike, and almost. I didn't quite get there. A few students were a little higher than I was. My average was like 94 or 89. I'm not sure. I took his test. He sends the test out. And I tried. I was athletics in high school. I played football, wrestling, baseball. I studied, got my grades up there, science, math, chemistry, physics, everything so I can get there. That was my goal, to be a lieutenant.
Okay. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I worked 2 years at Grumman Aerospace, a company down here, and
right.
they're out of business today, but it was a great company. I was 20 years old, and I thought, well, we had the draft in those days. You had to do something. You had to either join the National Guard or go in the service or I actually had a deferment. I was working at Grumman flight test. I had a deferment. But I was young, and I wanted an adventure, and I wanted to get the service behind me, and there was no war in those days, 1964. There was no war. And with the atomic age, I never dreamed there would ever be another war, a conventional war. So I said, let me enlist. And I had 4 Army friends who were already in the Army. They said, come on in the Army with us. I said, but I want to go in the Air Force. I should have went in the Air Force. But I went in the Army with these guys, so I ended up at Fort Dix, New Jersey in 1964, March. I enlisted for 3 years.
Now, why did you select the Army? If you enlisted?
Because of those guys, my
okay.
high school chums, we said, all right. They said, come on, we did it, you got to do it. So I did it. I actually enlisted. I decided that I didn't like what I was doing. I was doing a job behind a desk at Grumman, clean, it was nice and clean, but I wanted to work with my dad in Brooklyn. He was a machinist. Since I knew I wasn't going to college, because in those days there was no money in those days, or scholarships like that, like they have the kids have opportunities today, which are great. And so I was going to become a machinist and work in Brooklyn with my dad and study chemistry at night at Brooklyn College and become a chemist, glass mixer. My father was from Czechoslovakia, and they made glass, and he had a factory. He didn't have that. He worked in a factory in Brooklyn, and that was going to be my career then. I figured I'd go into glass. But first I was going to go and get the service out of the way, so I asked if I could go to machine shop school in the Army, and they said, sure. And the day I got in there and everything, oh, it's full, you can't get in, we can't get you in, later. What do you want? I said, oh, what do I want? I says, give me infantry airborne. What? Yeah, I want to jump out of airplanes. But this is another funny story. When I got to Fort Dix, I was in, so I went through 8 weeks of basic training, which was fun. It's like Boy Scout stuff. You're running, you're camping. I got poison ivy. But then I went through 8 weeks of advanced infantry training, and that was really fun because we learned how to shoot everything they had. Pistols, mortars. The recorderless rifle, I was expert. It mounts on a bus, not a bus, a Jeep. Yeah, it was 4-man crew, and we fired that, and it was great watching, shooting, because men like to shoot. We like to, it was like hunting or Boy Scouts again. We had a bunch of young guys, and we had so much fun. We really did. We had a lot of fun. Then they flew me to Fort Benning, Georgia, to go to 3 weeks Airborne School. And I said, but I still want to go to that machine shop school. I don't want to be running around the woods for the next 3 years of my life. I'm 20 years old, That seemed like an eternity, 3 years more. I'm going to be an infantry guy playing in the woods, Boy Scouts? I go, no, I got to go to school. I got to get a trade and work with my dad in Brooklyn. So I get down to Fort Benning, Georgia. There was only 8 of us now going to Airborne School. I should have went, because it probably would have been fun. But I was thinking the future. I need a job when I get out of the Army. So the sergeant comes over and says, okay, you got to sign here. I go, why? I'm in. They told me I was airborne. He said, no, if you don't sign this piece of paper, you're not going to Airborne School. I said, really? Okay, I'm not going to sign it because I want to go to machine shop school. Boy, were they mad. I thought I was in. I had no rights because you're a soldier, you lose all your rights. They weren't mad. So he got the other 8 guys, get this guy in a room and convince him to go to Airborne School. So these other 8 guys took me in a room and they told, come on, Mollik, come on, you come with us. I go, You guys are going to go to Germany. You're going to be in the woods and freezing woods for the next 3 years, running around playing like a Boy Scout. I want to go to school and get a trade. Okay, I'm talking too much. That was that.
No, this is what we want
So
you to do.
at that point, they put me in the transit barracks. They didn't know what to do with me. So you're there 3 weeks, you're on KP every day. And I'm thinking, I should have went to Airborne School. It was only 3 more weeks. But there's no war. What are we going to do for the next 3 years? You know, we're going to be a strategic unit waiting to fly to Cuba. The Dominican Republic had an incident. We had to fly there. And, all right, so maybe I kept applying for school. Maybe I can go to school. At that point, there was a test division at Fort Benning, Georgia, called the 11 Air Assault Division. They had 450 helicopters. They were testing the concept of going to war with helicopters. I was like, oh, what the heck is that? So they put me in that unit, and because I guess I had prior aircraft experience as Grumman here, and I passed all their math tests pretty well, they put me in a 611 maintenance and supply battalion instead of the infantry, because they had plenty of infantry guys in those days. They didn't need infantry guys. So they said, you're going into the supply battalion, company, platoon. And it was it was old guys, E-5s and up, you know, it was all mechanics. They worked on helicopters, and we had to supply parts. And it was interesting. I was learning a trade, warehouseman, inventory control, which later helped me in my life. You know, every step in your life helps you later. I got a job with Grumman when I was almost being laid off in inventory control. I said I had a prior experience in the military. I got that job. Anyway, so I was there a few months, and then they had an operation in South Carolina we had to go to. There was 35,000 troops, Air Force, Marines, Army, and the 11 Air Assault Division to test this concept of helicopter warfare. So I was involved with that. So we flew with Caribous into South Carolina, landed in the woods. And you know, we going. I said, the woods are coming up. He's going to stop this thing? He reversed the props, you know, and it stopped. Everybody out the back. So we got out the back. Okay, so we were there 3 months, and then the General Kennard, the wonderful General Kennard of the 11th Air Assault Division, I'm talking too fast, said, the concept is proven, it's Christmas, it was September, October, November, December, everybody go home for leave. Okay, good, so who cares? Now maybe I can go to school. So I came back, I applied to school again. Sergeant says, well, we're still a strategic unit, so we can't allow anybody to go to school. A strack, they call that, you know, we're ready for something. I go, oh, okay. So by the time May, June, summer came, oh yeah, LBJ was in, 64. He was never going to go to war. Hey, that rhymes. I'll never send young American soldiers to Vietnam to fight for that business then. But July, August, things began to heat up over there. And I never thought we'd go. And we get orders that we're shipping out in August. July, August, we're shipping the whole division, 10, 15,000 men, 450 helicopters, all the equipment. We start the shipment. Oh, this was hard work. It was 24/7. It was very hard work. Loading everything, all our choppers, all our equipment. We loaded the choppers at Mobile, Alabama. We drove all our trucks down there, put everything on ships, and an aircraft carrier, USS Boxer, loaded it all up. They mothballed the helicopters. They took the blades off and they put them in bags. They were all on deck. The next morning, we went to Savannah, Georgia, and we got on a ship called the USNS Upshur, and we sailed to Vietnam, and it took 32 days. We had 3,000 guys on this ship, and every day I was cleaning pots and pans, and every time a meal would finish, another meal would start, because you got to be feeding these guys constant work. But at night I'd go up on deck and see the stars, and I loved that, the stars. There was no light interference. It was beautiful. We came down along Florida, through the Panama Canal, Balboa on the other side, and we're heading for Hawaii. And it took 2 weeks to get to Hawaii from Savannah. And I remember being off the coast of California listening to the Beach Boys, and I'm thinking, man, is that the last time I'm ever going to hear the Beach Boys? You know, because now your mind is thinking, we're really going. And we hit Hawaii, we spent 2 or 3 days there because everybody got drunk, wouldn't get back on ship. They had to send the Navy patrol to round up these guys. But I was on ship, I was on KP, so I didn't get off. Well, I got off just to go to the NCO club, have a few beers, and get back on again. So now we begin the next tour, the 2 weeks across the Pacific. We crossed the international date line, they had a party, it was great. So really, it's a cruise, it was nice. That was an enjoyable part, going through the Panama Canal, all that. All that was good. So we get off the coast of Qui Nhon, Vietnam, which is in the northern highlands. We're supposed to land, we're supposed to drive up Highway 19 with all our vehicles. And that didn't occur because the choppers were on the ground, on the Qui Nhon airfield. We had all our CH-47 Chinooks, big choppers, front blade, rear blade. They were all lined up, I remember that, and we were supposed to hit the beach, so we all load up our equipment, our helmets, and everybody was issued ammunition for the first time. And we get into this big LS something, it was like 200-foot thing, and we had to jump into it. We climbed down a rubber, just like World War II, this ladder, which is made out of rope, and now you got to jump 10, 15 feet, and they try, come on, jump. And the thing was going away. It was rough seas that day, and coming back in again, people would throw their duffel bag and would go in the water, and then they'd have to time the jump. It was stupid. It was really dumb. It's off the side of the ship. Finally, we get 200 men in there, and he heads for shore. So we're all loaded up, and we're scared. You know, you're scared. You know, you think like World War II, you know, something's going to happen. First, we thought we weren't going to land, because they said we're just a show of force. We're going to sail around a little bit, and then we're going to go back home. This is a rumor, you know. But then the captain said, I want everybody off, because he was afraid of scuba divers under the ship planting mines. And amazing, when we first came into Qui Nhon, these giant canoes came out, and we were scared to death. We thought we were under attack. Canoes, these guys were in canoes. They're coming out like 20 men in a long canoe, and they're holding up Coca-Cola. They're selling it for 25 cents. Oh, is that all it is? So now we're on the shore, and as the thing falls down, we rush out, and who's there? ABC, CBS, NBC, TV cameras filming the first cav. We became the first cav division, first air cav division. We were going to go to Anke Base, Central Highlands. There was 1,000 men advance party there already setting up our campsite. So we were the first cav. The movie just came out with Mel Gibson and his 7th Regiment, which was bivouac down the road from us. Those were the fellows who suffered that terrible, terrible tragedy at the Drang Valley battle. But I was adjacent to them in the maintenance section, operating on the supply for the helicopters. I was not infantry then. They changed my MOS at Fort Benning to allow me to stay in the supply, because my warrant officer said, you better change it. So I changed it. So I became supply instead of infantry. Otherwise, they'll pull you over there. I said, well, you don't want to go over there. No, I want to live. Anyway, so now we get into these CH-47s, and we're flying into the Central Highlands. And it's getting dark. And there's a bunch of CH-47s. And everybody said, sit on your helmet, sit on your helmet. So we sat on our helmets because we were afraid of something might come up on the ground, a sniper or something that kill you. So we thought the helmet would help. We come in, it's dark, and there's mountains all around, and that's scary because you can't see, and there's no lights on the ground. And we're coming in, and this thing hits, the back goes down, and the sergeant screams, everybody out, and you don't know where you're going. It's black, and we're there on top of this mountain. And we were like 20 young guys. And a black officer, captain, I will never forget, he came up and he says, follow me. I know, what company are you? I know your bivouac area. And he said, here, you set up your tents. So we started pitching tents, and we set up. And eventually, with the engineers, which I have nothing but tremendous respect for the engineers, battalions, they build roads, they build a mess hall, they build barracks for you. Man, they're great. The construction, the Army has everything. They can do anything. Like when they go into these countries and do peaceful things. Well, we try to do that there too, the peaceful things, to help the village. The amazing thing was that when we got there was no village. It was like a few huts. But a year later, there was a metropolis because they want to make money, sell to the GIs, And when we threw all our beer cans out, they took every beer can and flattened it out and built houses out of it. One whole side was Budweiser, Miller. So they're very industrial people. They're very nice people, very good people. It was an experience for me in this foreign culture, which was, it probably shaped my whole life after that, because I was always very, very careful to them. I teach my children to be very careful. Always watch your back, always turn around. Don't walk 10 feet without looking behind. We became very careful. We were on this mountaintop. Our choppers would go out all the time. Sometimes I counted 35 at a time, picking up guys and going to different areas to have battles, which I was in a base camp, so I wasn't at that point in the infantry. And we were there like July, August, September. We were building this base camp. And October, November, the units found North Vietnamese regulars near the Cambodian border. We were in the central, from the coast to the Central Highlands to the Cambodian border. We were like 40 miles. And that's when Gibson went out. At that point, his name was Colonel Moore. He took his battalion out there, 400 men, and he encountered the North Vietnamese, 3 battalions, and they had a 2-day battle, which was a very severe battle. It was constant firing. If you ever saw the movie, I read the book, it was really, really deadly. And we were young kids, and we weren't used to this. And the thing that really upset us back at the base camp was that they needed blood, they needed help, and when we tried to get it to them, we couldn't because of the firing, the aircraft, anti-aircraft. And we even volunteered to go help. We wanted to go out there because we were brothers. You know, all of it, this unit, we were 1st Cav Division. We wanted to win this war and go home by Christmas. That's what we thought in '65, which didn't occur. And they didn't do badly. They killed, I think, 1,000 North Vietnamese that 2 days. And then finally it stopped. The North Vietnamese withdrew, and we thought so. They hide well. They camouflage well. And the battle was over, so we thought. So they sent in the 2nd Battalion, 7 Cav, and brought out the 1st Battalion, 7 Cav. The 2nd Battalion then was told to, okay, march out about a mile or 4 miles. It was 90-degree heat. And they marched along the Drang Valley estuary river there. And I only found this out later, because you know, when you're there, they don't tell you anything. There's no news, there's no TV. The guys who came back told us this, and then we were told to keep it quiet, that this, sort of like they tried to cover this up. The next day, these guys walked into an ambush, 400 guys, a battalion, 2nd Battalion. And they basically got wiped out, all of them. You know, it was horrible. It was just what the stories we heard, all these young guys dead. And the worst of it was that the guys who were wounded on the ground, the North people shot them right in the head and executed everybody. And man, we couldn't get all of that. And then after that, we changed. Our youth was gone. Our innocence was gone. And all we wanted to do was kill them as viciously as they killed us. We were just very, very upsetting. So then they volunteered me for the infantry because they were short and they needed help. I said, okay, sure, I'm going out. I went out that first night, and they loaded me up with all this ammunition. My friends kept handing me 20-round clips. My first sergeant was very good. He handed me an M79 grenade launcher with 36 rounds, which was great. And the first night out, of course, we were terrified. But at the same time, we want to get even. We're ready. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to back up. There's no place to go anyway. So I'm out there at night in this foxhole with this black guy who was at the battle. He told me, he said, don't worry. He says, I'm going to sleep. I go, you can't go to sleep. You're crazy. He says, no. He says, they're not around. They went to Cambodia. They're going to refit. And we can't go into Cambodia and get them. At that time, what LBJ said were rules of war and what. So we had to stay on this side. So we have to wait to be hit. So I'm out there at night with this foxhole. I'm up all night. I'm talking to these clerks. They was all volunteers under our perimeter because the infantry was decimated. Not only our infantry, the 101st also. They were north of us 20 miles and they got a battalion wiped out. And they asked us for help and we couldn't help them. I don't know why. Kennard said he wouldn't send any choppers. So they left them there. So there was a lot of rivalry between divisions. I didn't like that. I didn't know about that until 20 years later. I talked to a 101st guy. See, they don't tell you nothing. You're out there at night by yourself, just you and the stars. So what happened, the black guy says to me, oh, why don't you shoot? You probably haven't shot since the States. I go, yeah, but we're not authorized to shoot. It's dark, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. He says, go ahead, fire your M16. We were on ship, we were firing into the water, to test all weapons and all that. But so I fire a clip off. I fire a clip off, but never automatic, because you fire too fast. That's what happened to those guys in Pleiku. They all got killed because they ran out of ammunition. Keep it on semi. So I fired 20 rounds, put another clip in, fired. I love firing. It was fun. He says, what about your M79? Fire that. I said, all right. It's like a shotgun, you open it up, take this fat bullet, and put it in there, close it, boom. Nothing. I fired it too far, Finally hear a big explosion. I fired again. This is fun. And at that time, the whole line starts firing. I go, oh, Jesus. And these clerks up here, they had an M60 machine gun. They didn't have the discipline to fire you under the infantry from this stake to this stake. This is your area. They were going, brrr. I'm seeing traces going right over the top of our heads. We're getting down. Oh, God, what did we do? we started this. So about 3 hours later, the sergeant crawls out and says to us, "What was all the firing about?" So I look at the black guy. Well, the black guy says, "We saw 3 VC." And we think we got one of them. So the sergeant says, "Wonderful, you men did a good job." And he crawls back. He gets out of there. In the morning, the captain calls a platoon meeting, and he congratulated us on our first baptism of fire. And that was a big lie. And so I was there like 4 months on that line, shifting around. I seen a lot of firing from choppers at night. You know, somebody over there had some sort of penetration. We were mortared about 3 or 4 times. But those mortars went over our heads because they wanted to get the choppers. But our artillery was always firing out. We had 105 artillery, 9-inch artillery. Man, they were firing out. You couldn't sleep at night. Every 15 minutes they'd fire. They call that interdiction fire just to keep the enemy off base. I don't know. I never saw anything. So I had to go. My friend came on and said, "You're a gunner now. You're a helicopter gunner. I volunteered you." I go, "What? What'd you do that for?" "I don't want to get killed." He says, don't worry. You can have fun." I go, "Okay." So I'm off the line. He takes my spot. And he says, "What's it like?" I said, "No, it's no problem. Nothing ever happened. I was here 4 months. You know, it's quiet." And the next day, they got overrun. They hit us on 3 points. It was like 3 companies hit us. But we had a big base, like a mile in diameter. And he says, "You crazy? But when they overrun you, they don't want to kill you. They want to get to the choppers and blow up." We had 400 choppers. So I don't know what happened out there, but he was mad at me. And so then we had to go out and guard these choppers the next day. I didn't think they were in among us, but they were. Because the next night, a few survivors tried to go back out. And they walked into, we had this black sergeant, no, he was a sergeant, but this black guy used to play softball with us. They walked into his foxhole, and he killed the young Vietnamese. He shot 20 times. The kid got up and ran. He shot him 20 times again. It's very hard to kill somebody. People don't die just like that. They try to save themselves. But he was going to bleed to death, and he died. So we had to bring him back. And then I started flying, and man, was that fun. That was fun. I flew to Cam Bay, landed on a ship. We picked up supplies, because we were supply maintenance battalion. We supported the infantry. We flew to Pleiku. We landed on a mountaintop. There was artillery there. And he said, "You guys better get out of here, because you're a target, and we're going to get incoming because you're here." I said, "Oh, okay, Sergeant. Oh, okay." And as I turned around, Pleiku was all red. It was green and red dirt. Beautiful. That dirt was good. I see 2 little guys here jump up out of their foxhole, because I'm looking down the mountain. They were American soldiers. They put on that rocket launcher. He loads it, he hits him on the head, and the thing fires. And you could see it go and arc all the way down and hit and explode. I go, "Wow, that was cool." And the sergeant says, "Get out of here before we get incoming." Okay. So I got in the chopper, and we took off. That was a CH-47 Chinook chopper I was a gunner on. And we had the front blade and the rear blade. So we took off. Then we had a big battle in Bang San, north on the coast. So we had to fly in there. We flew among cliffs. It was like prehistoric. Vietnam was prehistoric. It was like going 1,000 years back in time. We had trees that were 15 foot in diameter. We had waterfalls that were beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. There was lions and tigers, and at night, I was in the foxhole on the line one night, the perimeter. And I see this GI walking by. I go, "Where the hell are you going?" I said, "Someone's going to shoot you." He said, "I'm after the tiger." I go, "What tiger?" He says, "Didn't you see the tiger run by here?" I go, No. You're crazy. You get out of here." And an hour later, I hear footsteps behind me. So I quickly turn around. I wake this guy. There's something back there. And I heard him growling. I swear I heard growling. And this thing was going back and forth, and finally it left. And I swear I heard that thing. I'm telling you. But then I was flying after that. And flying was so much better, because when you got into a helicopter and you went up to 2,000 feet, you were on the ground, you sweat like a pig, it's hot. And when you go to 2,000 foot, man, the air conditioning hits you. I got the door wide open, and the air, the sky, which is beautiful. And the money was good. We went to a lot of places. I never fired the machine gun, so I'm not a hero here. I'm just going along for the ride. We went to a fog one time that was really scary. We were coming in rain and fog, and I look out, and I see treetops. I mean, I can just almost touch them. I go, oh my God, where are we? I look out front, he's doing 80 knots, 2,000 foot. What's going on? And all of a sudden it clears, and there's an airfield, and we land on a mountaintop. Oh, that was scary. That was scary. Then, finally, it was a year, 11 months, I was with the 1st Air Cav there. It was quiet. After the Drang Valley battle, we quieted down. We sort of like didn't want to have nothing to do with each other. It's like two dogs that have a bad fight, and then they both withdraw, and then they don't want to get back together again. We tried everything to avoid the battle. I know I did. Don't shoot, don't give away your position at night. I think we all wanted to go home then, after what happened to those poor guys. At first, I think we were very gung-ho. We thought we were going to be home by Christmas, but after a year, it seemed like it was just a stalemate. And then the college students started rebelling back home, and I couldn't understand that at first, but I really felt sorry for the kids that were coming to replace us, because they weren't veterans, and they didn't know what they were doing. See, after a year, we knew what we were doing, and them being so green, to walk into that situation, I thought they were doomed, and I was so glad to leave after a year in Pleiku. I flew to Pleiku in the C-141 jet. I flew into Pleiku in a Caribou from Mankay. But I do want to tell you one more story if we have the time.
We should have plenty of time.
One day I was working in a supply platoon in our base camp, and the sergeant says, Mollik, come over here, I want to talk to you. You're the ex-infantry, so he's a Filipino sergeant. I want you to take a truck, and we're going to go to the coast and get some cement. We're going to build a mess hall. I go, oh. And I'm thinking, okay, Sarge, we'll go in the morning. Okay. I'm thinking, why didn't we take a helicopter? Why do we have to? There's always ambushes. There's minefields in the road. But I know, I wasn't thinking. So I said, okay, next morning I get a 3/4. That's all he wanted was a 3/4. It's like a big pickup truck. I get into that. He gets in. I got my rifle, helmet, and stuff. Okay, I start driving down the mountaintop, because we were 2,000 foot high, NK base camp, Central Highlands. And we got like 40 miles to go to, or what was it, 40 kilometers to Qui Nhon, the port city. And there were so many ships out there. Man, they were bringing everything. So this is a winding road down the mountain. So what I do is I scooch down. I get down under the steering wheel, and I'm starting to wind down, and I put the truck in the middle of the street. It was a 2-lane road built by the French. A beautiful road, tar road. Going down this mountain. I look at the sergeant, he looks at me. Okay, he ain't talking, okay. But I'm getting down, because I don't want something coming in on me. And I'm in the middle of the road, because I don't want to hit a mine. And if I hit a mine, I want to go fast enough, so I'm over it. Maybe I have a little impetus, I guess you could say. So maybe I can get over it. And maybe I can open the door and jump out or something. I'm thinking survival here, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but I'm heading down this road. I'm winding down. All of a sudden, it's all woods and, steep mountains around. Finally, we break out. We're in the plain. Oh, great. It's rice paddies. It's flat. I can see where everything, no one can ambush us here. Stay in the middle of the road and just keep hauling. 50 miles an hour. These trucks can go as fast as I could go to head to the coast. I figure, now we're okay. I look at him, he looks at me. Okay, so I'm looking down the road. Now, the North Vietnamese and the VC always put out roadblocks and tax the people. I'm not stopping for no roadblock. I'm going right through it. I look up, and there's a guy on the road, way up there, about a half a mile, and he's like this, spread eagle. He's got black hair and a green uniform. I go, what the hell is that? And I'm driving, looking at him, driving, looking at him. Okay, what the hell is that? Going. Now we got a couple of 100 feet, 70. I go, what the hell? I'm playing chicken with this guy. He's playing chicken with me. I'm going to kill him. I'm not stopping for nobody. Because you stop, they got you, you're dead. They take you prisoner, you starve to death, you die anyway. You got to fight. So I'm up to about 75 feet, and the sergeant screams at me, stop the truck. I go, why? I'm not stopping. I'm shaking. He says, they're Korean. I go, Korean? They're on our side. They had 50,000 rocks over there. Oh, so I slammed the brake, and I'm fishtailing, I'm coming. I says, let me play chicken with this guy. Let me see if he's going to jump. I take the truck, I let the brake go. I slide it right up to his chest. Touch him. And he's still smiling, still standing. A Marine, man. That was a brave guy. I would have jumped. He's smiling, and he points down here. So I look there, and there's a 30 caliber machine gun. I could count every hole in it. The old ones, from Korea. And these guys were clean, strapped. They were Marine. You could see the creases in their uniform. They're both smiling at me. They had the machine gun right in my face. They could have killed me any time. They could have killed me. I look at my Filipino sergeant. He burst out laughing. He burst out. They're all laughing. Nobody speaks English here except me. I'm the only American. Then he points down that way. And there was a pontoon bridge. Because down there was this bridge, but it was gone. It was exploded. It was a 300-foot drop. So he saved me from going in the drink. I said, wow, and I almost killed him. I wasn't going to stop. I wasn't going to stop. I said, it was a microsecond decision. I would have been dead. Me and him. That shakes you. That shakes you because I wouldn't be here today because I was going so fast. So that was the one incident there. What else I'm thinking? I wrote a lot of stuff down, but it's not that important. It's just things that happened. More happened in that one year than happened in the whole rest of my life. That was every day something exciting. And it was exciting. And it was an adventure. And for a young fella, it was a good experience because I learned how to count on myself and survive. Oh, let me tell you another quick story. Being 4 months on that perimeter defense, on that line, we never saw a sergeant. We never saw an officer, except for that first night when he came out. After that, they never came out again. We had no chain of command out there. We had no radios. We couldn't call for help. If a battalion came across there, we were dead. There was no way to get help out there. I don't know it seemed like everybody just, after the Drang Valley battle, everybody just sort of like gave up. There was no more enthusiasm for war, I'll tell you right now. We had no backup. We had no plan. It was just, you guys go out tonight, maybe we'll see you in the morning. It was so bad that I was out there at noontime one time, sleeping in my foxhole, like this here, because I was up all night, and somebody kicks me, and I jump up, and I look, and there's a lieutenant with a gold bar on his head. He says, what the hell are you doing sleeping out here, soldier? And I look behind him, and there's a radio man with a 50-foot antenna, I don't know. He's smiling at me, and I'm looking at these two faces. I'm laying in the foxhole. I said, I'm sleeping. He says, why are you sleeping? I said, I've been up all night. We sleep during the day. We're up all night. I said, they never attack in the daytime. They only hit us at night. I don't know, it's understood. He says, I came down this line. I checked every foxhole. Nobody's here except you. Where's everybody else? I go downtown, they get the girls and they get drunk and then they come back. Nobody's here. A battalion could have walked in and took us. Oh, there was just no more discipline. It was a complete breakdown. It was you, yourself, survive. Because you got nobody coming out here. I don't know. I couldn't understand it. The army broke down. It really broke down after a year. Because there was no win policy probably. Because we couldn't go after them. We only got hit, we got mortared at night, and we had to sit and take it. And it seemed like everybody just said, oh, I just want to go home. But what happened, see, there was no drugs here. We were soldiers from the United States. We drank beer, that was it. And a whiskey sometimes if we got it. But that first group of soldiers in Vietnam were the regular army. We were disciplined. But of course, at the end, after a year, we weren't much disciplined. We started to break down. That's something that has to be looked at. I'm sure it has been. There's been so many books written about this era. But I felt so sorry for the kids coming over, because we're going home. We know what's going on here, but they don't. And they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And they were. They turned to drugs, because I guess they found it down the village. They were selling it, and pot and whatever. But that's it for me. I'm not going to bother you guys anymore. I got a lot of little stories. And always things come back. And I'm always, like you see me jumping for the door. I was a Grumman, man, I tell you. And we were working at a remote site at a tower. And I walked in there, and the guy, he's got his back to me with his feet on the desk, relaxing. And I walked up to him, and I said, Paul, you would never see me doing that. I'm always watching the door. I'm always watching that door. I never let anybody come up behind me. I said, you wouldn't have a chance. How can you just sit there? Someone can come up behind you and hit you with a brick and kill you. So I'm always thinking, who's going to kill me? I walk into a room, and I survey the whole room. You know what I mean? We were in a bar in Vietnam one time, down the NK village. We're having a beer. I had my M16, here, and our friend, we're talking. We're all combat dressed. We all armed. and the door burst open, and two South Vietnamese military policemen walk in, and they're struck, and they had these Thompsons with these 30 banana clips, whatever, and they stood like this, and they looked at us. And we were told they don't like us because we got money, and we spend it on the girls in the bar and the beer, and these guys don't make much. And one of them, a week before, a grenade was thrown into a bar, but that was by a South Vietnamese Ranger battalion. We didn't trust these guys. We didn't want them around us or near us. We didn't trust them. We had more respect for the North Vietnamese army. They were good compared to the South Vietnamese army. So these two policemen were standing there, and all I'm thinking is, if those two bring those barrels around to shoot us, I can't get to my M16 in time. I'm going to throw myself at these two guys with a chair over. I'm going to fly at them and try and knock them down so at least my buddies could pick up their M16 and kill them. That's all I was thinking. What to do. That's what we learned. I wrote that in my employee interview. You must always give yourself an out. Always figure out what you're going to do. Survey the situation you're in. Don't trust anybody. Don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to your officers or your sergeants. They just want to live too. Like that sergeant looked at me that night in the eye with his blue eyes and said, I'm going to try and get you a relief out here, Mollik, and left me alone out there. You guard that chopper. I'm not standing here guarding that chopper. I dug a hole with my entrenching tool. I laid in it, and I brought all the rocks back, and I became the terrain. And I just laid there with my bayonet. I watched all this firing and shooting and mortars and artillery going around this base camp, and I listened. And if anybody came, I would have killed them. And that was horrible, because I lay there for 3 hours with that bayonet. My M16 laying alongside me, because I know I'm never going to use that. I'll never get to it. But this was amazing. This bayonet was razor blade on both sides. Oh, it was a deadly thing. I hate knives. Even today, I hate knives, because I lay there all night just listen. And finally, I hear, Mollik, where are you? Right here, Sergeant. He said, I didn't know you were there. I go, that's right, Sergeant. I'm thinking of me. You're not thinking of me. I got to think of me. If you want to live, make a plan. Don't listen to your superiors, because they don't care if you die. Look at today. They die, he's died. Who cares? It's statistics. You become a statistic. Don't become a statistic. Take care of yourself. Live. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Certainly.
You kind of alluded to it. How did you feel about the rules of engagement?
Well, I had a guy come over my house. He was fixing my telephone, and we started talking about Vietnam. He was a Vietnam guy, and he told me, man, they sent us 5 miles out, and my officer was just trying to kill me. That's all I was thinking. And he says, we saw a platoon go by, we counted 100 go by. I told him, don't shoot, don't let them over here. Avoid it. And that's how if it came at me, you have to. You must. You've got to defend yourself. But if it went that way, I would shoot, because I don't want my men over there to get hurt. Or I would fight to defend. But like when the sergeant came out one time and said, we want to send a patrol out. I don't want to go out. What the hell for? Let him come in here. I'm not going out there. I'll go out there behind a tree and hide. I'm not going further. Are you coming with us, Sergeant? No. It was always no. I'm sending you men out. Well, then we'll go out 10 feet, hide behind a tree, and do nothing. Why should I go out there and die for you? I don't want to die for Vietnam. No, I avoid engagement.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned in the form that you filled out about M16s versus the AK-47. When you started, did you ever use the M14?
Oh, I love the M14.
You like the 14?
Yeah, because
did you like that over the M16?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the M16 is a toy. The M14 is solid. I could take that stock, that wood stock, I could kill somebody with that wood stock. But when they hit with that plastic stock, it broke. And it had 37 parts, the M16. I never cleaned mine. I just kept it wrapped real good. I would never take it apart. You'd never get it back together. 37 parts. Whereas I think the M14 had 7 or 8. It was a weapon. It was good. It had big rounds. See, the M16 had these tiny 5.56 millimeter rounds. It was supposed to be high speed, 3,000 feet per second. They said if it hit you, it would break every bone in your body. If it hit your arm, it would shatter the whole bone. But he shot that guy 20 times, the guy ran away. They shot and played cool with the guys 20 times, and they kept coming. That's why they were terrified. These guys kept coming. They had to be on drugs. But I don't think they were on drugs. But they kept coming, because it's hard to kill somebody. But M16, no.
Now, did you ever get a chance to use a AK-47?
No.
Because you mentioned
No, but
you thought it was a better weapon,
yeah, from what I heard.
what you heard. Okay.
Oh, not only that, the one the guy took from the kid who went into the foxhole, he killed him, it had a built-in bayonet. It flips out. That was great, because ours was separate. So like I had my M16 on a bayonet, you know, what should I do? You know, I lose this? Because you have to think of, I need every weapon I have. If I'm overrun, they taught us that you could take your helmet off, put your hand in there and punch with the helmet. So that's a weapon. Your entrenching tool is a weapon. You could hit somebody in the back here with it and sever the spinal cord that way or somehow. If you have to fight hand-to-hand, like they did in Play Cool, they were hand-to-hand when they ran out of ammo. That's it. I mean, I never had a confrontation, you know, hand-to-hand, or no one came into my hall. I wasn't, well, I changed my own voice. I wasn't really infantry at the end, like those poor Slavs who had to go out. They had to go out, infantry, but I was perimeter defense, and then I was a helicopter gunner. And both turned out well. And I always tell my kids, you know, no matter what the job is, take it. Because it won't be as bad as you might think you can make it good.
How did you feel about you went in as a unit. The other ones that followed you went in this rotation system a year in. How did you feel about that? Do you think that harmed the cohesiveness?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. That was probably one of the downfalls of the whole thing. Somebody once said, you know, like World War II, they were there 4 years, you know. We really should have been there 4 years, but we should have had a win policy. You know, how are we going to win this thing? Because if you don't have a win policy, I don't want to die for nothing. I don't want to go out today and just die, and then tomorrow we all go home anyway, so let's go home now. I thought, well, let's go home. We're not going to do anything here. Let's get out of here.
How did you, I know you mentioned that when you came back to the States, were you were treated badly, you thought?
Yeah, so you don't talk about it. You didn't mention it anymore. You went into the closet, you know, hung the uniform up, put everything away, went back to work, and I loved working in an office. Well, now, clean hands, no mud. I'm clean, I have food, I have a nice clean bathroom. Oh, I loved Grumman. I was there 32 years after that. Oh, I don't need to go to a machine shop and be dirty, you know. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So you
How do you
retired
feel-
from,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
from Grumman? Okay.
Yes.
How did you feel about the anti-war movement?
I had no feeling. I thought they were nuts because they're going to get beat up. I'm not going out in that street and protest and be beat up by cops with the sticks. What, are you crazy? No, I avoid violence. I don't want to get beat up. I like my teeth. I don't want my teeth knocked out. For what? I mean, I respect them. Wonderful. I'm glad you did it. You know, because this is the American way. That a protest is available, and they finally stopped it. And because if you don't stop government will never stop itself. They go crazy. They get too much power, and they don't care about the soldiers dying. You got to stop. So I'm glad they did it, and they stopped the whole thing. Hey, you know, there was a lot of terrorism in Vietnam. You know what terrorism is? We're so afraid of terrorism. There was terrorism in Vietnam. But when we left, it stopped. There's no more terrorism in Vietnam. Vietnam loves us. The people loved us. There was a woman downtown, a waitress, come over to me, and you know, I was eating French bread and French meat, whatever, French beer, and she says, "Why are you here?" I says, "Oh, we were sent here to make you free." And you know what she said? She says, "But I am free." Then I thought, yeah, you're doing good. I don't know why I'm here. It's something to do with world politics and with the little puppets to satisfy governments, but I don't want to die for some government. So let the kids protest and let me go home. Thank you very much. I thanked the protesters. After I thought of it, I said, boy, thank God for, I went to school after that, and I read all about philosophy. I wanted to understand why people kill people and why we did what we did, because I was confused. I was 21, I was very confused at the time. And I studied political science, and that was good. And it thought about civil disobedience and how important it is. And who was that author up at Pond?
Thoreau.
Yeah, I read Henry Thoreau and what he said, and I agree with it. Go live in the woods in a house someplace and leave me alone and don't tax me. Leave me alone. Governments suppress.
Do you ever read much about Vietnam or watch any of the movies?
Oh yeah, always. You gotta. I love Platoon. Platoon was good. That was a well-made. He was there, Stone. He did that good. I seen that 4 or 5 times because every time you see it, something else in there that I didn't. I saw that reminds me of something, and it's so true. It was such a. You became so inhuman. Total disregard for people. Like they killed that woman in the village. Yeah, they did that. You know, I didn't do it, but I know they did that. A kid came back and told me he had an M79 grenade launcher, and they were south to play coup, and they had to attack a village. I go, yeah. He says, we attacked this village, and he said, I fired that M79 into every hut. I said, you don't even know what was in the hut. He goes, no, I just blew every hut up. He did it. I mean, he's probably got nightmares all his life, thinking he killed babies and children and women and old men. And I don't know what the answer is. You know, it's bad. Would I have done that? I don't know. Even to this day, I don't know. How about if you're in an infantry platoon and you say you attacked that village and you're attacking the village and you're running down with everybody else and they're shooting at you, you start shooting back. Look what they're doing in Israel. They're killing everybody, all the Palestinians. Well, the soldier doesn't want to do it, but he's there and he has to. Or they try, you know, they'll court-martial you. You come back, your officer writes you up, you're in there, and you're going to jail. You're going to the brig. You're in trouble. And every day you're in the brig, you owe that day to the Army. So if you get a 6-month sentence, your Army term of service is 6 months extended. You guys know that, right? So all you want to do is get out. I just want to get out honorably, and I never want to go back. I came home and they said, why don't you join the National Guards? No. I don't want any more of that discipline. But I should have joined, yeah. I should have joined the Air Guard. They're good. Yeah, but they're all going to Iraq now, so I don't want that. You know, I was at the recruiter. I went to the air show, and the recruiter, a nice girl, she was talking to me. And she says, do you want to join the Air Guard and fight for Iraqi freedom? I go, hell no. Let the Iraqis fight for their own freedom. I fought for Vietnamese freedom. Go ahead.
Did you join any veterans organizations at all?
No.
Not active at all?
No, not interested. My wife made me join the American Legion, but after 9 years, I never went to a meeting. I finally resigned. They didn't support us. I don't think they supported the Vietnam vets, so I sort of had a grudge against them, especially the VFW. Because I went there one time, and they said some things about us Vietnam vets, so I just walked out. I says, no, forget it. Now they write you all these letters. They want us to join. I says, no, I'm not joining any organizations.
Did you ever stay in contact with anyone that...
No. I had some good friends, but no. I just turned my back on it. The whole thing. You know, I just like just put that behind me and never want to associate with it or anybody there or no.
Do you think your time in service changed or affected your life in any way?
Yes. Many ways, yes.
You know, you have answered some.
Yes. Yeah. All of that.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak, that's all.